Welcome to Live Action Star Wars. I'm Ralph,
I'm James.
and today we are discussing part 1,
And 2.
part 2 of Kenobi.
Or as I
Kenobi
like
series.
to call them, Obi-Wan and Obi-2.
Oh,
I was doing
guarantee
that last night.
I guarantee you that joke's been made.
Of course, I'm not original. I don't have that much originality in me.
That's what's funny is there was a tweet sent out from Jeremy Kelly who said, watch the show. They're talking about Obi-Wan early in the morning, so their takes are going to be fresh. And I'm like, yeah, no copy and paste opinions here.
Nope. No, like that's the good thing about when we record these episodes is I've not had a chance to see anyone's hot takes or anything.
I'm assuming that's the Obi-2 comment.
Oh yeah, I mean that's fair. Thank you, shiny plastic people. I definitely deserve to get booed out of this room. So yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. I'll see myself out.
James is in the chat.
I was. Now I'm here.
Stevie's here. Oh, speaking of which, thank you so much. I forgot.
Stevie really is there.
Water. Yeah. Ed is here, former guest and probably future guest of the show, Lucha Johnny.
Yeah,
I said
we'll see if we invite Ed back after his last pick. Oh no, after his first pick anyway.
Shiny Plastic People, who is transfer from Toy Geeks and stuff from Jay's show. I see them every week watching Toy Geeks, and then he's only seen Obi-Wan. And okay,
so
Ed hasn't watched it.
That is no. Ed, I don't think Ed's watched Mandalorian yet. Ed's not watched anything. Ed's a terrible person.
He's not allowed on the show anymore.
No, I agree. Not even in the comments. Ed, go home. You are home. Yeah, so we did warn people that we were only going to watch the first episode. Today we were originally planning to only watch the first episode, and we said please don't spoil episodes 1 or 2. We have seen both of them. Scheduling changed. They released it early. So Ralph got to watch it last night, which meant that he didn't get up at ridiculous o'clock this morning.
I have all my stuff ready for.
He's literally. Normally it's me who's running out the door when we finish these episodes. This week it's going to be Ralph. He's going straight to Celebration. Luckily, he doesn't have long to travel to get there. So,
13 minutes.
13 minutes. Not that he's done that drive before, everybody.
Right. So speaking of Celebration, yesterday they dropped the trailer for Andor. I was like, we gotta cover this on the show, but when is that going to happen? Because of these 2 episodes, Celebration, and we have another Kenobi on Wednesday. And you were like, just go ahead and do it.
Yep, I was at work, so I couldn't jump in on video, but I was there in the chat.
Right. And so thanks Alex Stewart from Smuggler's Dispatch and The Backside of Water. We need to get him on a regular episode.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed his takes and everything.
And the thing is, I marked it as a mini episode. But we talked about the Andor trailer for about an hour and 8 minutes, I think. Something up there.
We did about the same for the Boba Fett trailer. So that's just how long we go. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's funny that I mark it as a mini episode. And I've like originally when I started like laying stuff out as far as categories, mini episodes were always just an episode where it's just me or just James. It's not both of us together. Both of us together is a bonus episode. And so it was really funny to finish that episode and then jot down that it was a mini episode. It was so long. It was so great.
You guys went deep with I saw a few other people were getting their instant reaction videos and stuff, because I mean that's what YouTube is hot takes and reactions, and everyone's were like 6 minutes, 15 minutes, and then I look at our channel and it's like over an hour. We got this covered. Like you guys, you went deep into it, and I'm so happy that you did, because
so much speculation. It'll be fun to rewatch that after the series and see just what we got wrong.
How wrong you were. Like, and it was the thing, like you were calling out things that I hadn't noticed. I was in the chat trying to frantically keep up with where you guys were, sort of with my takes on what you were showing at the time. But yeah, it was great fun. Great trailer.
Right. There's something I brought up yesterday that concerned me and I brought up my hate of, or my disdain, my new disdain for Darth Vader and the
Okay.
younglings.
Okay, interesting.
Like it hits a little different after this week.
Yeah.
Now Kenobi
Yeah.
opens with younglings in the Jedi Temple.
Literally opens with Order 66. Just before we get into it, though, Derpy Gaming is here. He's watched episode 1 so far. Perfect setup. Hasn't seen episode 2 so far. Shall we give a full warning?
Yeah, we're going to talk about episode 2.
We will talk about them both, but before, if we say anything that's going to be like a major thing from episode 2, we'll let you know beforehand. I think that's fair.
I think we can kind of go somewhat chronologically, I think.
Fairly. We generally jump around, but yeah.
I've been podcasting since 2006, covering TV shows and whatnot. Mm-hmm. This is the first time I've done a double episode.
Wow.
In a single podcast. I'm pretty sure, unless it's like the pilot,
a 2-part finale of Lost or something.
Yeah. So it's a little odd. And even when we started our Invincible podcast, the father podcast of this podcast, they dropped 3 episodes at once, and we split that up into 3 episodes throughout the first week. Yeah. It's just it's going to be weird. So yeah, we'll try not to dip into episode 2 quite quickly, but I do want to talk about this opening scene. And,
of course.
And an interesting way to start.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to see Coruscant again.
I need your expertise.
Oh, okay.
To see if this theory I have can be debunked.
Okay.
I feel that there might be some retconning going on as far as what Anakin did in the Jedi Temple. What am I calling it? The Jedi Master
in the
Jedi Council.
Council. Yeah.
With the younglings.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible? Did we see the dead bodies? Did Obi-Wan see the dead bodies of the younglings in the recording?
We don't see it on screen, but he does tell Padme that he saw hollows of him killing younglings.
Okay.
Because that feeds her awful line delivery of the not Anakin.
Yeah, I guess so.
He does say that he saw him killing younglings. You don't think this is the same group of younglings, though, do you?
I'm thinking the reason why they're showing younglings, I want to make it better. I want it to be better. I want Anakin to. Right now, he's unredeemable as far as I'm concerned. And I said that yesterday that I'm glad the Emperor came back, that he didn't finish off the Emperor because he's an asshole. But I'm thinking, okay, so I feel like I was trying to make a connection between younglings and Inquisitors, and maybe that Darth Vader, the Anakin version, groomed the younglings instead of killing them to become Inquisitors in the fight with him.
I think it's a mix. I think the ones up in the council chamber he probably killed. As Shiny Plastic People here shouts out, he assumes that there had to be multiple classes. There are definitely multiple classes. We know that the group that we see in Attack of the Clones was the Bear Clan, and I think in other books and things they've mentioned other clans. That's how they're broken up into their classes.
Right, and we saw that in Clone Wars as well.
So yeah, we saw all the different groups. Brotherhood, the book that I reviewed last week, mentions different classes, and that's when they go off to do the gathering and things like that.
Okay.
So there's loads of different groups. We know from Rebels that the Inquisitors are some of them, and even in the show they mentioned that the Inquisitors are a mix of, some Force users that have probably been found since, and some fallen Jedi, probably ones that were captured instead of killed during Order 66 or thereabouts after. But
this is what I'm getting at.
Exactly what I was thinking too. I was thinking Reva is going to be one of those younglings. I thought possibly the Jedi that we saw on Tatooine could have been for a hot minute. I thought that the character that we see in episode 2, without revealing too much, there could have been. But we find out that that isn't the case. But yeah, I thought that I think that Reva is almost certainly one of those younglings.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me if we get more of that flashback of them trying to escape and possibly being captured then.
Okay. She clearly has a huge chip on her shoulder. She's has an obsession
aggro.
with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But the thing is, why?
That's I think that's the interesting part.
The way the Inquisitors are treating her, they're treating her like they found her in a gutter.
She's an outsider compared to the rest of them.
Yeah. And she wants to rise up in the ranks. So I assume she wanted Obi-Wan. If she gives Vader Obi-Wan, that'll bump her up to the top.
Yeah, she becomes the Grand Inquisitor straight away. Yeah.
If she was a youngling in the Jedi Temple, why would she have a chip on her shoulder for Obi-Wan? Because Obi-Wan created Anakin, and Anakin killed all her friends. But at the same time, why would she then serve Anakin?
I wanna circle back to this when we do go deeper into episode 2.
Okay.
Because I've got some things that I want to say regards to that, but it doesn't come up in episode 1, so I don't want to spoil anything for Derpy Gaming.
No.
But yeah, I've got some thoughts, and even just you talking about it has sort of solidified some of those thoughts in my head a little bit more.
The lightsabers in episode 1. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. We do see Obi-Wan's lightsaber in a box with Anakin's, which is great.
Yeah, love that. I love that moment when he's just out in the desert and literally in the middle of what we can assume is the Dune Sea, like in the middle of nowhere. And you think, okay, right, is he just going to dig loads of holes? But of course, like, it's his lightsaber. He can still feel it. Like, they have that connection. So he knows exactly where to dig. He's going to that pinpoint. But no one else is finding that.
This is the Anakin Skywalker lightsaber as seen in this. So this is based on The Empire Strikes Back. And if you notice, it has this circuit board. Yeah. And this is how it is in the sequel trilogy when Rey gets it. Mm-hmm. In Star Wars, it's not a circuit board.
Okay.
It's like 6 or 7 little clear bubbles.
Interesting.
Which isn't in episode 3. In episode 3, they have a variation of the circuit board, and there's some gold on the band and stuff. In this episode, when he opens the case, the saber has the bubbles on it, like Star Wars.
Wow.
So I was
didn't even notice.
It's the only one that has it, because those bubbles are on Vader's as well.
Yeah.
On his
the through line between the Anakin saber and the Vader saber is
so I don't think I need to know why the changes between episodes, at least between episode 4 and 5, Luke probably tinkered with it somehow. Yeah. Maybe didn't like the bubbles, whatever.
Yep. And had to make some modifications.
In the last 10 years, I don't know why those bubbles were added to this lightsaber and before it was buried, but it was really nice to see that they did it.
Maybe there was
I don't need to know why.
Maybe there was some scorching from Mustafa or something like that he needed to sort out, and he thought, well, one day when I give this to Luke.
I don't know.
Who knows? It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. but what matters to me is that the show paid attention to that detail.
Yeah.
That they got the right lightsaber. So I don't know what Obi-Wan did between 3 and Kenobi, the series, but it was altered. Made me so happy. Can I just tell you one thing?
Please.
I absolutely love this.
It was amazing.
I really love this. And it's comes down to a simple thing.
Hit me.
Storytelling.
Yeah.
Storytelling.
I thought about you a few times where they had so many opportunities to drop the meme line, to have a hello there, to do certain things that it's like, it's to do the May the 4th isms of it all. But they didn't. They stuck to what was right for the story.
The Cadu, no, the Eope.
EOP?
Didn't fart.
Not yet. I'm sure
They're
he'll go
saving
back.
it.
Yeah, they're saving that for the finale.
I'm gonna get a little bit of a spoiler into episode 2 real quick.
Yeah.
And
That's light.
it's a character cameo
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't done in a cool way. It was a reveal that was sort of integral to the story, and that is the clone trooper.
Loved it.
The clone trooper just in the street begging with his helmet.
The Vietnam vet style, like, yeah.
Right. Tamara Morrison reprising his role as a clone trooper.
The
I don't
iconic
think it's
voice.
Captain Rex, but the same colors as Captain Rex, which
See,
is
this is
huge for
This is what got
Obi-Wan.
me. It's the blue stripes on the clones. That's the 501st. That was Anakin's group. So that was my thing. I was like, seeing a clone, cool, great. I think if it had been like the yellow, we would have been like, oh crap, that's Obi-Wan's old squad. That's the 512th or whatever it was. Commander Cody's lot. But this guy was in the blue, and that was the 501st. That was Anakin's guys.
Yeah.
And so that's what made me go, wow, they've really cast them out if they're allowing them to just be bums on the street.
But I mean, but just like from a story standpoint, it's not like some of these cameos we get in the other series where it's like cameo of the week. It's like, oh boy, where you roll your eyes. It's telling you a story. It's almost necessary. It's a shorthand of telling you where we are in the timeline and what's happened in the last 10 years. And it's a real quick moment, and the look on Obi-Wan's face, A, because it ties back to Anakin, and B, like, not only did Anakin abandon him, he abandoned his squad,
his
and
guys.
it's just, you could just see it in Obi-Wan's face. Like, it was a perfect moment. It wasn't played like he didn't come walking out of the shadows. He wasn't a slow-mo shot. It wasn't this big reveal. It was just,
Obi-Wan didn't
sad.
stop to have a conversation with him or anything like that. It was, all of it was done with the facial expressions, that recognition, that sadness, because there was a fondness. Like, he was the one who discovered the clones.
Yeah.
And like, so he, like, the whole line of you fought in the Clone Wars, and then the meme is, bitch, I didn't fight in the Clone Wars, I started the Clone Wars. Like, because he kind of did. He's responsible for a lot of it. He's responsible for the clones being so integral when they were. Here. That is why he was there. And then to see this guy and to see the way that he's ended up, it's heartbreaking in a way. And you know that he feels for him, because he knows that the clones turned on them. But I think by this point, he probably knows they didn't want to. They didn't all mean to. And it does make me think that, are we going to get more of this stuff with Bad Batch? We know that Rex is out there trying to essentially free clones to get rid of the inhibitor chips. It wouldn't surprise me if he does that with a bunch who then don't join the fight. They don't join the rebellion. They're just like, cool, I've got a life. We've seen clones that have lives. So if this guy just, he tried to live a normal life and then just couldn't, he ended up on the streets.
Yeah. In full armor, which leads you to believe like it's not like, but the fact that it's in full armor leads me to believe that there's still some sort of pride in there.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't, like he's a clone. He's like designed to do his duty, and he can't leave that behind.
It's much in the same way as Rex and the Wolf and the other one from Rebels, when like they're living their lives, but they are still troopers. They're still proud of what they are.
There's so much in that 30 seconds.
That's amazing.
There's so much in that 30 seconds. Like, I'm like, oh shit, this is like actually well done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really like, I was like halfway through the first episode, I'm like, they're focused on a specific story.
They really are.
It doesn't feel like I don't want to bash the other shows, but I always come back to that second episode of Mandalorian, where Mandalorian episode 1 is great. I loved the first episode.
Mhm.
And the second episode is immediately into wandering the desert and going onto a side quest to get this egg.
Yeah.
And it's like, we've been waiting so long to see the next Star Wars story and a serialized version. And we kind of, I like Mandalorian. Okay. I haven't really revisited it. And even when we did our rewatch for this show, I made it about halfway through each
I
season.
remember you saying, yeah.
With the exception of like Bryce Dallas Howard's season 2 episode. That's great. There's a lot of great ones in there.
Yeah.
And episode 4 of The Mandalorian, is it 4 or 3? I forget. But the one that Deborah Chow directed.
Yeah, that was 4.
With that was a great episode. And she's running this series and directed these first 2 episodes.
She's directing the whole lot. She's doing the whole thing.
She's doing all of them. That's awesome.
Same. I completely agree. It's perfect. That's
her
the way
storytelling
that handled.
And her knowledge of Star Wars is completely apparent.
Oh yeah.
I saw her yesterday on the live stream at Celebration talking about being a lifelong Star Wars fan, and you watch these 2 episodes and you're like, oh, it's true.
Yeah.
And she might be sick of hearing hello there as much as I am, because he didn't say it.
No. I think it's really good, and you get it just from the opening before we see the younglings, before any of that. Like the way that this show opens, and the fact that the recap, there's a previously on before the show starts.
Did you skip it?
Nope. I watched the whole thing. Because I was like, hang on, this is the first episode. Why are they doing it previously on? And it's a montage.
They did that on Peacemaker. It said previously on the Suicide Squad. And then there you go. It was great.
And so it's a recap, a really nicely edited recap of the entire prequel trilogy.
Right.
And it goes through the whole thing, and it's beautifully done. There's like music is set to it nicely, and then it leads in, and it came up with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, which none of the shows have done yet. That got me. I was like, oh, they are treating this like a movie. They're treating this like it's an integral chapter.
It's funny that little thing makes it feel so much more like Star Wars.
It really does.
Yeah.
I love the Filoni and the Favreau shows. I think they're great. The Filoniverse, as like including the animated series, they feel they're really good. They are all of a piece. They are all Star Wars. They are all part of it. This didn't feel like that. This felt like the next Star Wars movie. It felt like it felt much closer to the prequel movies bridging into the other movies. This is right up there with your Rogue Ones and Solos in terms of the story that they're telling.
Yeah. There was a bit of filmmaking that kind of threw me off. And I realized it made me realize what was going on with the show. So the show doesn't have a ton of camera movements, like crane shots and all the like fancy filmmaking.
Yeah.
It felt like a lot more static shots. Obi-Wan gets into a fight in a hallway in episode 2. And as soon as he starts fighting, it goes to handheld, which isn't really a Lucas sort of thing.
No.
Lucas prefers to do static shots with quick cuts.
Yeah.
Like look at the Sand People attacking Luke. It's just boom, boom, series of quick cuts. So
close,
as soon as Obi-Wan was in that hallway and punched the 2 guys and got hit and stuff, the camera started doing a handheld, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look right. But the reason this doesn't look right is because this is like probably one of the first handheld shots in the series up to that point. And it occurred to me then, I'm like, oh crap, she's shooting it like Star Wars.
She's shooting it like Star Wars, but she also has I didn't write it down any names of people behind the scenes, but I noticed that the stunt coordinator was definitely, it felt like it had more of an Eastern influence. And she's brought in these people who the choreography is going to be different. All of that stuff is going to be different from the lightsaber duels, the Nick Gillard like lightsaber duels that we've seen before, or from either trilogy. That's not where he's at now. Like he gets beaten on in that fight, and like
Right.
he takes a few punches, and you can see that he's taken aback by it because he's not used to having to fight that way.
It's almost like ED or something.
Yeah,
It's like he's lost his mojo. He doesn't
yeah,
have it anymore.
it
He
really
can't get it
is.
up, and we're gonna get like watching him struggle. Okay, we're gonna get into some episode 2 stuff or part 2 stuff. So
Yeah,
um
yeah, I think we've got to.
I
We've
kind of
got too much to say.
I kind of saw it coming, that, but it was set up great when Princess Leia falls off of the building.
Mhm,
I knew she was going to jump, and I knew
mhm.
that was going to be the moment where he lifts her, because that's what she had asked for before. It was a
S-
perfect setup.
Yep.
But just seeing him struggle and barely doing it was like,
He's cut himself off from the Force, like
he,
it, but without having to talk about it in the same way that like Rey was telling, or talking to Luke about Luke cutting himself off. I think Ben has done this. Obi-Wan has done this to become Ben.
yeah,
He's not used the Force up to that point, and he's fully removed himself from it to hide, so that
yeah,
he can hide. Because if he's there, like even sort of feeling the Force flow through him, then it puts a bit of a radar ping. Like
mhm,
he's running
right,
dark. He's running dark. So like essentially when he's in what I think is Anchorhead, and the Inquisitors are right there, and he's right there. Like they are powerful, and we know that they can sense Force
yeah,
users. He's hiding because he's cut himself off. Like he's not
right,
accessing that part of who he is, and so he has
right.
to struggle. He's trying to turn it back on very quickly in that moment,
Also,
and he managed.
if this was prequel Obi-Wan, after saving Princess Leia from the falling from the roof, he would have just jumped down there. But instead, he comes walking around the corner like he climbed down the stairs.
Yeah.
And I love that moment, because as soon as he saved her, I'm like, oh, he's just going to jump down and just do this superhero landing. But
No, he
um,
took the
he's
fire escape.
still. It took all of his willpower to make that happen.
Mhm.
Can we talk about Princess Leia?
Yeah,
I
she's there.
am delighted.
As soon as
Never once. We're like, oh, Bail Organa is going to be in the show. Oh, we know Luke Skywalker is going to be in the show. Did it ever occur to any of us that Princess Leia was going to be in the show? Did you mention it?
I
Okay.
can't remember if I did, but I thought so. When we saw young Luke in the trailer, I was like, I think we're gonna get Leia. I think they're
To
holding
this,
Leia.
okay. What
Yeah.
about to this extent?
No, I thought it was
Yeah.
gonna be a case of we see her, and then if when we cut to like a Bail Organa or something, we just see her running around in the background, or maybe we see her like being doted on by 3PO or something.
Um,
But yeah, like the cameos are R2 and 3PO. They're both there, but Leia is a character, and she
yeah.
is a heck of a character.
It serves the story. Serves the
Yes.
story. Every cameo
Why
serves
else would
the
he leave?
story.
Why else
Right.
would he leave Tatooine?
Right.
There's
Right.
no good reason.
Stevie can back me up on this, but as we were watching the show and they showed like handmaidens putting on the hood and
Yeah.
the clothes and stuff, I'm like the whole time I was like, oh my god, they're gonna show her. They're gonna show her. It's her. It's her. Like I was literally acting like a little like 12-year-old kid, so excited to see one of my favorite characters. I didn't even think we are gonna see, let alone like they're clearly doing this spotlight on this character,
Yeah.
and the face was covered, and I'm like, the face was covered long enough for me to be like, oh god, don't be some sort of CGDH thing, like just please. And I'm like, she's too young to be the 11 from Stranger, the Millie Bobby Brown,
Yeah.
because people have said that would be great, and I
I
think
mean, at this
that would
point,
still be a
like
good
you
series.
can't really cast Millie Bobby Brown when you've got Billy Lord right there, sort of thing. Like
Right.
they're I mean, Millie Bobby Brown's grown up so quick that it's just like, yeah, no.
Like
I was
I'm
getting
not,
there when just as soon as we cut to Alderaan, I was like, oh shit, they're doing it.
but again, I was just like, oh, Bail Organa, of course. Not even like it took me until they put on like the third item of clothing. And I'm not, I don't get super vocal. And I've mentioned this before. Like, I don't do reaction videos.
No.
for like trailers and stuff, I'll watch it and then I like to dissect it after, because I'm not the, I'll sit there and I'll just watch a trailer. I don't say things out loud. I don't express myself or do something.
I don't want to miss
This
things in a trailer. Yeah.
this turned me into one of those things, one of those reaction videos.
And I
like
think
I was so vocal.
The only other option, the only other time that I think you mentioned that was when Luke came out, and you were like started crying and everything. It was just like,
oh,
it's funny, isn't it? It's the twins that do it. It's the twins that they pop you.
Because for however many years, 20 years of my life, that's all I had. Was the original trilogy. And even like the thing is, it's like with Obi-Wan, we got him in the prequels. I got to see more Obi-Wan, and the only time we saw Luke and Leia were as babies.
Yeah, I mean, we've had at this point, I think we've had way more screen time of Obi-Wan than we have of Luke or Leia.
Possibly.
Well,
I mean, if you count the Clone Wars, of course.
But... Well, yeah, but I mean, otherwise it's going to be comparable. I think maybe Leia's had more because of her role in the sequels. Possibly, I don't know. It's going to be close. So yeah, that's what draws Obi-Wan off, and I like that. At first, he said no. Like, he was like, I've got to stay, because that's him. As you said, he's lost his mojo. He's cut himself off from the Force. He doesn't know what good he could actually be. And it's also just after being verbally beaten down by Owen. It's like immediately following that.
So we talk about Owen for a bit.
He feels useless in that moment, but then Bale, like literally, he's like, I know where you're hiding. I know where you are. I'm just going to come and see you myself. And yeah, let's talk about Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton doing a Uncle Owen impression,
killing it,
fucking spot on.
Absolutely, just like from that moment where you see him in the distance through the binoculars, and he's calling Luke. It's the Luke, Luke.
But he didn't do that. He didn't. It was almost
elongate the second one. Like it's like you could tell that there's it's not that they're taking that sound clip. It's just there's a familiarity with it without having to imitate.
Remind me of that. Remind me of taking sound clips, because I have a little bit of excitement to talk about.
Okay,
I'll just talk about it now. Tika.
Yeah.
Tika the Jawa has some new Jawa.
So Tika is a named character already, wasn't it? That's not a new name.
I don't know. I have no idea.
The way that, like, the fact that
there's Teak.
There is Teak. Maybe that's what I'm getting mixed up with. But I was just like, I don't know. Maybe this is a pre-existing Jawa name that we've heard before. I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know. But there was new vocal sounds. It wasn't all. There was some of the cut and paste reusing.
Because that was a problem that you had with Mandalorian, was that it was all just the cut and paste.
I think, and then I think also on like Star Wars Minute, Pete and Alex mentioned that too. Like, it's you always hear the same sound. Same with gonk droids. Like I could use some more gonk droid sounds.
It's rare to get a new R2. It's rare to get a new R2 noise at this point.
Yeah, but I feel like Ben Burtt created a big enough R2 library that you just need the basic emotions for R2. Yeah. Jeremy would love Adventures of Leia series with this actress. I can't.
She's a scamp. She's great. She's so good. So what a hit and Tika. And we've seen the little droid that she's got, Lola. We've seen that in the Volkswagen commercial for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Patrick Cotner, former guest of the show, tweeted about it recently. He was just like, everybody remember when we all are loving this droid, like over the next however many years, that you'll be able to look back and tell your grandkids, yep, I remember where I first saw Lola the droid. That Volkswagen commercial.
Prediction for episode 3. While Obi-Wan and Princess Leia are on the freighter, on the cargo ship, he uses the Force to help his mind to fix Lola.
That's
I think he's going to put Lola back.
Yeah, that's him, like, basically, like, reworking his hands like he was a surgeon, sort of thing, like having to.
When I first saw Obi-Wan's security system, I'm like, wait a second,
he doesn't own a droid.
A droid, but it's just a security system that he may have cobbled together from droid parts,
almost certainly.
But I was like, not so fast, Kenobi series. Not so fast.
It's funny, isn't it? I've got a whole new read on his interactions with R2 at the beginning there. Based on
Okay.
everything that we've seen since. Like in A New Hope, when he sees R2, he's like, hello there, and I don't seem to ever remember owning a droid. That whole interaction, and people for years were like, why doesn't he remember R2? I was like, he absolutely does. I think he
Right.
absolutely does. And he sees that R2 is there, and he's like, oh shit, it's about to go down. Like, now we're on. Like, he had a feeling through the Force. That's why he's in his robes. And like, he was
But
like,
that's what's going to be great is we're going to get back to that Obi-Wan who is denying the Jedi way and the Force, and that could be part of his thing. Like,
putting the
don't
robes
blow
back
my
on.
cover, R2.
Yeah.
I don't seem to. He says,
Well,
I don't seem to remember owning a droid.
Yeah.
Which is like pure Obi-Wan like sarcasm.
But I think it's there's looks between them, like where he's just like, okay, all right, I know what you're up to here. I don't know exactly the specifics, but again, it's when he shows Leia that he's like, all right, she needs me again.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in the interactions in Star Wars that negates her actually having interactions with him in the past.
No, and then by the time you get to Rogue One, there is a conversation.
Mon Mothma and Bail.
Mon Mothma and Bail that are discussing both Obi-Wan and Princess Leia.
Yep.
And it shows in that movie Bail once again going back to Obi-Wan.
Yeah. They've done such a good job of like tightening that relationship up between the two of them. I loved Bail showing up in the cave in this, and he's pleading to Obi-Wan. He's like, my old friend, you know, like, come on, we're in this together. Like, basically like original conspirators.
Okay. So Stevie says something that's bothering me. Why doesn't Leia remember Obi-Wan? Thinking about it, her message. Obi-Wan Kenobi once served my father in the Clone Wars. It's a little informal. Yeah. It's a little more informal than, hey, Obi-Wan, remember me.
Yeah. I think it's and I beg you for your help, basically. I think it's maybe she's not seen him as an adult, and you know, in the 9 years since this and that, she's gone through college, she's become a junior senator, she's become a senator. So it's almost like she's still in diplomatic mode, and
right.
I mean, no, that wouldn't work with if it got intercepted.
But I feel like I mean, Shiny Plastic People says she met Ben, not Obi-Wan. He's really leaning heavily into this Ben thing.
Yeah, my name is Ben.
So maybe she just doesn't know the connection between them. I don't know. We'll know by the end of the series.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Concerned about it.
No, I'm not. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of episode 3 she's back on Alderaan, and the next stage of the story is like that. That's what got him off. Yeah, that's what got him off of Tatooine, was having to save her. He's rescued her now, and then while he's there, he has the conversation with Bail, and he's like, "Did you know that Anakin is still alive?" Because, and then he's like, well, shit, I've got to maybe finish the job, or I think that there is still good in him. I can talk him down. I've got to protect Luke. And if they know that Leia is out there, then they're going to potentially know that Luke is out there.
One of the things too is, as far as we know, their interaction could have just been this night that he rescued her, and them on the cargo ship,
on the freighter.
So I mean, yeah, it could just be, I don't know.
I don't think there's much more.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be in the rest or much more of the series. I think you think about episode 3 is halfway through. Get her back to Bail, and then it's about Anakin. Then it's about Vader and that interaction, and him going, right, okay, I've still got a job to do here before I can really protect Luke.
Yeah. Ed asks, having not watched it, it seems a lot of the focus is on characters we've seen before. Are there any interesting new characters that you're excited to see more of?
Great
Riva?
transition, Ed. Thank you very much. Yeah, the Inquisitors, we've seen 2 out of the 4 before.
Mhm.
We've seen the Grand Inquisitor and whatever brother it is.
Seven?
Seventh brother,
3.
yeah. Sun Kang, Han from the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, we've seen them both in Rebels, but yeah, Reva, who is like our focal bad guy in this show.
Really interesting. We don't know what motivates her. Everything
Nope.
we're talking about is speculation on
Yeah,
the fact that she
yeah.
was a youngling.
Someone, it was a bit further up. I'm going to try and find it, but someone pulled out the thought that let me see. Yeah, here we go. Shiny plastic people. She escaped, was living in the undergrounds, found by the Inquisitors later in the streets. She learns that Kenobi may be alive and that Jedi Master was out there not helping her. I like that theory a lot.
I have a theory.
Hit me.
She's so low on the totem pole that she's never actually interacted with Vader.
Possibly.
If she gets Kenobi, she's going to be right there
Yeah.
in front of Vader.
Ooh, she wants to
and
kill him.
that's when she gets her revenge for Order 66 in the Jedi Temple.
So yeah, I like that a lot. She was in the temple. I think she was one of those kids who escaped at the beginning.
She knows that that's Anakin.
That's the biggest thing for me. Like,
yeah,
I've
that
got
could
the
be
note
what's driving
here.
her revenge.
Yeah,
is that she needs to get to Anakin, and she's going to use Obi-Wan to get to Anakin.
Maybe we get a scene of them fleeing, and she sees Anakin leading the clones, and she's like, "That's Master Skywalker down there. That's Anakin," and then yeah, she puts 2 and 2 together.
So that with them opening this series with the Jedi Temple, Order 66 younglings, I think that's because they're telling her story.
Definitely.
And I think it's going to be super tragic.
I think so too. I don't think she survives this because she's not in Rebels. We know that the Grand Inquisitor, who we see gets stabbed by her in this, and Seventh Brother are both in Rebels, but she isn't. She's not mentioned. She's not anywhere to be seen.
Right.
And there's a line because I was like, "Hang on, is this a different Grand Inquisitor?" But then someone I saw online, someone pointed out the fact that in Rebels he says to Kanan, he's like, "You're going to learn that there are fates worse than death." Like I think he's going to survive this, and he's going to probably be in a back to tank for the rest of the show, so he won't be a factor.
But we saw the training, like Hayden Christensen behind the scene training.
Oh, he's
lightsaber.
Yeah. There's going to be flashbacks. There's like we were expecting. I was hoping for, and I still am, Clone Wars flashbacks. The fact that we've got Tamora Morrison is around. He's done at least one small cameo. When the show was first announced, I was hoping that Cody would be the primary bad guy. They've gone the Inquisitor route, which is cool because I like the Inquisitors. But I mean, who knows? We might get some Commander Cody. We might get some Rex in flashback. And yeah, I think we're gonna see more of Anakin in the temple, even if it's just long shots. It'd be cool.
Luch Johnny asks, how many people at this point in the timeline know Vader's origins? Now Obi-Wan, the Emperor.
Now Obi-Wan. We see
Anakin.
We see him finding it out. Yeah.
And
because he knew that Vader was Anakin, but he thought he killed Lord Vader. He thought he killed Darth Vader on Mustafar. He was still calling him Anakin, but he did know the name Vader there. So yeah, the fact that he's alive is what was the giveaway here from Reva. If she'd said that Vader is alive, he would have still probably had the same reaction because he knows. But then she plays her card, like she reveals her hand of knowing that the two are the same.
Yeah, so I have this feeling that she is definitely a youngling and has been able through the Force because she can sense people's memories somewhat. Like she can tell.
Yeah. Because the Grand Inquisitor was a guard. He was a temple guard.
Yeah.
That was his origin. We saw some of that in Rebels.
Right. So yeah, I have a feeling that's why she's trying to get Obi-Wan so bad. It's because she
Mhm.
wants revenge with Darth Vader. That's the thing.
That's really
Hopefully,
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, Jeremy Kelly said he wants it to happen.
I think
mean,
I think
I
it'd be fascinating.
the story can go any direction, and if it doesn't go this direction, I won't. I'll be okay.
Mm.
I'm sure
Yeah,
I'll
I
be
mean, at
okay.
this point,
But it's
like
like now I got this in my head. Now I want it to
Deborah
happen.
Chow's
I'm
got my
just gonna get.
trust.
What did you post the other day? I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna put you on the spot about expectations.
Oh, expectations lead to presumptions. Presumptions
Oh,
lead
speculation leads to
speculation.
expectation.
Yeah. Speculate. Expectation leads to uh something, and then that.
It was all bad.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good tweet. Maybe I can find it.
Yeah.
uh,
Go follow us at live action SW.
I love the moment when Obi-Wan is reminded of Padme with Leia and the way that Leia is acting and her rambunctiousness, her I'm just gonna go do this. That person needs help. We gotta go and help them sort of
Yeah.
attitude. And his yeah, you remind me of something. And then when he says she died a long time ago, her instant like, oh, I'm sorry. She's very empathetic like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, me too, because of the weight, because he feels the guilt and responsibility for that, I believe.
Did Deborah Chow also write these? Did we? I didn't even look at the
Oh,
credits.
I didn't. I didn't.
I was too excited to read. I'm not going to read credits.
I think at least co-wrote.
We
But
talk
yeah,
about the.
go for it.
Go ahead. It's going to be.
I was gonna say. Talking about credits, like the credits, the format of the credits is the movies. It's not the concept art and everything that we've seen through the Mandoverse. Like it's more the blue text on black starfield, like, or black background. It's the movie style credits, which again just makes this. It gives it a different weight. 6, yeah.
Okay, so there's 6 of these, and they're each about an hour.
40 minutes.
So we're essentially
40,
looking at
an
Obi-Wan. We're essentially looking at an Obi-Wan trilogy.
Yeah, thereabouts.
And cool. Where we left off on this one is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because they're trying to be cool. Stop trying to.
Can I talk about one thing that is related to being cool that I didn't like in this?
Okay.
The only thing that I can think of that I didn't really like, and it is cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool and it looked cool. It's obligatory action scene free running. When Reva's running along the rooftops. Hey, like whoever the stunt performer is that did that, it looked great.
There's a couple of cool moves.
There was some really cool moves that I really enjoyed.
It's
not necessary.
It's not necessary. But I was like, her doing a backflip into a front somersault. I'm like, oh,
yep.
It was.
There's a wide shot where we see her doing something in the background as well that I liked. Like the visuals of it are cool, but it made me go, "This is cool for cool's sake."
Yes, but I'm gonna. How about this? This as an explanation from a storytelling standpoint. It reminds you of how the Jedi moved in the prequels. Juxtaposed to how Obi-Wan's running across these roofs. So it might be a little gratuitous. It might go on a little too long, but it's showing you both sides. In Casino Royale, the James Bond movie, he's chasing the parkour guy, and the parkour guy is going all over the place. And James Bond's just like
runs through
busting through wall. And so I mean, it's drywall, but still he runs through wall. It's showing you in this chase where these people are at as far as their skill level. And it's funny because it's you look at the prequels and the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Mustafar, and then you look at the fight with Anakin and Vader on the Death Star, and you're just like, what? Like fans had to go and make like a souped up version of that. And so now it's like, oh, like we're still like 8-9 years off from that Death Star fight. and this is where Obi-Wan is now.
Yeah.
So it's sort of their way of saying this is his trajectory as far as
He's
fighting
slowing
goes.
down.
And his fight with Maul on Rebels was short and quick. It's so good.
Perfect.
Talk about storytelling in 30 seconds. And then looking at the fight on the Death Star, I feel like that fight is so sort of, well, I mean, it just was the way George shot it. But if you could think of it as a storytelling standpoint, that fight was, they both knew the outcome.
Oh yeah, straight away going in.
They both know what's going to happen here. And so Obi-Wan's like, I just need to be here long enough. I know what the outcome is, but I just need to be here long enough to make sure that Luke gets on the ship.
I'm buying Luke time. Yeah.
He did the tractor beam already.
Yep.
He's just waiting. He sees Luke. All right, this is done. This is where it ends. It's almost like a Force vision, like
and he
clouded the future is, but
he knows that he can get into Vader's head. He knows that he can distract Vader long enough. Nice to see you, Scott D. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Watch the episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're still in here, watch the episodes. It's my favorite Star Wars series.
Yeah, so far.
I mean, there's not a lot of them. And I'm including the animated series. I like Rebels quite a bit. I like Clone Wars somewhat. Bad Batch was pretty good.
We're early, but it's there.
But the way that this established itself, and the thing is, like, I could have been like, after episode 1, I'm like, I really like that. But after episode 2, I was like, okay, there's definitely, I have a better gauge of what's going on. I think Book of Boba Fett episode 1 was great. Episode 2 was amazing.
Episode 2 is the best episode of that show. Yeah, the
trailer. Yeah, and I liked the Book of Boba Fett as it went along. And yeah, the Mandalorian shows up, but that episode was, the Bryce Dallas Howard one was good, and then the one with that Dave Filoni did was good. They just weren't Boba Fett centric. No. And then you get the huge battle scene in the streets of Mos Eisley and stuff, which is like, I got a little fatigued by then. So, but this one has a nice, I'm not even going to say slow burn, but I feel like the first episode, it was nice that it took some time. It's wandering the desert a little bit.
It has the rule of 3, where we see them like the crate dragon monging, like where he's doing his day-to-day job. Like we get the rule of 3 of going back and forth.
Was it a crate dragon? It looked like a big manta ray.
I don't know. I just saw the big spines, and I was like, that looks like something that the Jawas might have like scavenged like later on when we see the crate dragon in Mandalorian. I thought it might be similar, but I don't know. I see a big thing in the desert, and I think it's a crate dragon.
Yeah. I thought at first, I was like, oh, there's an encampment using this like skeleton as protection from wind and shade and stuff like that. But then I was like, oh, they're farming.
Yeah, it's this. Yeah, they're fishmongers. Yeah.
And then I kept waiting for Obi-Wan to get in trouble for stealing meat.
I was too. Every time I was like, oh, it's going to be on the next one. It's going to be on the next one. But yeah, no, he's getting away with it.
It's a really interesting detail that they are spotlighting and setting up for something.
It felt like it.
But I mean, he's got to go back, I'm assuming, at some point.
Maybe when he goes back, maybe Bale like gives him enough money, or says, you know what, I wasn't a big fan of that cave you were living in, so I bought you a little place up on the hill.
Okay.
I'd love it if Bale bought that house.
Bale, yeah. I mean, he could have. Bale showing up in the cave shows how desperate he was, but who did you think was going to turn around?
I thought they were faking out Qui-Gon. I thought that was the
Qui-Gon's 100% showing up in the show.
Qui-Gon is 100% showing up in the show. The only reason that Obi-Wan hasn't been able to commune with him is because he's shut himself off from the Force.
Right.
Like, I think now, when he goes back and next time he's ready to sit and meditate and commune, like, we're getting Qui-Gon Jinn. 100%.
It was like the last thing said in the recap. It's the first thing out of his mouth when he wakes up from his nightmare. is Qui-Gon. So it's definitely going to happen.
It's
I can't
2
imagine it
episodes.
wouldn't.
In 2 episodes, he's mentioned him, like, and he's tried
Yeah.
to book him. Yeah.
But when I saw Bail Organa in the cave, I'm like, oh fuck, it better not be Mace Windu. I don't want any Mace Windu needs, like, I was like, who is it? Who is going to
No
be in
way.
here?
That's where
but-
we get Plo Koon finally.
Right.
They don't let Dave Filoni do it.
They but they but yeah, it was there. They held it long enough to where I'm like, oh, it's Bail Organa, and
Yeah.
I like that moment because Bail Organa's like, listen, this is how desperate I am.
I'm not taking no for an answer.
I came from Alderaan to this
Yeah.
piece of junk cave
Yeah.
in the middle of Tatooine.
Mm.
And so I like that.
As
I
far
like
as
that
caves go, he has decked it out nicer than I think we assumed from like those old
He had a nice
EW
bed.
photos. Like, I mean, it's still going to be very rough living, but like compared to the original, I mean, he had a moisture evaporator for Christ's sake. Like, he's doing
Yeah.
okay. He's surviving in there, but
I would have liked to have seen, like, instead of a full moisture evaporator, which would give away his position, maybe a smaller, like, water cooler size one.
yeah, something, yeah,
Like a little, like a portable one.
one that he has to take away, like prop up and put down every day or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jumping around a little bit.
Yeah, we are now. Like we're in jump around territory.
Kumail Nanjiani.
Loved it. Perfect
Loved
role
it.
for him. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect position for him.
And I was along the same ride as Obi-Wan. I'm like, oh, he's a Jedi? Like, I assumed he'd be some droid or something. And then I was like, oh, wait, he's completely bullshitting.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is good.
At first I was like, okay, he's another one of the escapee like younglings who he's never had like much more training than that. So he's not going to give a shit about the Jedi code. So yeah, he's just out for a quick buck. But
so
nope.
Do you think he was a Jedi at some point?
It wouldn't surprise.
It's ambiguous, and I like
it.
That
Is
it's
ambiguous. I do too, because of the way that he comes around at the end.
Yes, completely selfless.
Yeah, at the end. But like, if he had just gone, oh, shit, we had him, and then we let him go, I'd have been like, okay, he was just a con man, fine, and I would have been absolutely fine with that. But the fact that he helps, successfully helps at the end, makes me go, was he one of those younglings? And it is just like, I don't know, I can't do much. I know the way to blag it, but I can't actually do much.
Yeah, I guarantee you, Pete
Magnets
from Star Wars Minute was so excited.
The magnets. I thought exactly the same thing. I was like, that is a lovely like not intentional shout out to Star Wars Minute.
Right. Oh man.
Yeah, the Force is bullshit. It's all just magnets.
Lucha Johnny asks if they made it fit in the story, could you see Yoda showing up somehow?
I hope not.
I don't think we need it.
I really kind of hope not. I like Yoda's isolation being super isolated until Luke shows up.
Right.
I don't want it personally. I mean, at this point,
especially
doing well enough that I'm sure that it would be done well, it would be handled well, but right now I don't want to see it.
Especially with Yoda appears to have not shut himself off from the Force.
Exactly. He's hiding on a planet that's like rich in the Force because it's more shadowing sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a very different method. Like you go to Tatooine where there's not going to be many Force users, or like there's no nexus of the Force there. And so it's going to be obvious if someone's using the Force. You go to Dagobah where you do have literally a vergence in the Force in that tree. And as Luke says, it's like he can feel a lot going on down there, but yeah.
I don't think we need it. I think if one day there's some sort of chronological version of all of Star Wars that's put together in some sort of video Bible that someone discovers in the far future, this is a nice buffer between episode 3 and episode 5 where you forget about Yoda.
Yeah. Speaking of Yoda though, like, I mean, he's in Rebels. He's communing with Ezra at the end of Rebels.
Right. Right.
So he's definitely still connected and
Let's
still...
just say the live action Bible then.
Yeah.
But
You
it's a
just had me
good
thinking of, have we seen him at all in that time period? And yeah, we have.
Yeah.
That is a weird CG model. Like I don't really like Rebels Yoda at all.
His eyes look off. He looks like a Mr. Potato Head or one of those ugly. He looks like one of those ugly dolls.
It's really weird. We talked about one of them. It's not even a cameo; it's just a small role. And the other one that I wanted to bring up is another small role. But before we get that, and while we're talking about Rebels, Bail Organa, when he's talking to Leia on their balcony of their beautiful, I guess, palace in on Alderaan, he's talking about never wanting to have been a senator and things like that either. He didn't want this life. He wanted to go and chase Purrgils. Purrgil being the big space whales in Rebels that like fly through the Force. I was like, the perfect little mention offhand. It ties the galaxy together for us as viewers who go, oh, Purrgil, I've heard of a Purrgil. And there's a few different animals and species that are mentioned in this that I'm sure that we've seen before. But you don't need to do loaf cats anymore. You don't need to do things like that. Like leave them to the Filoniverse. That's fine. They're his calling card. But the Purrgil being a thing that potentially we'll hear more about in Ahsoka going forward. Great. Cool. All for it.
Yeah.
And then, the other cameo small role that made me go, is that? Yes, it is. Was Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Back to the Future Part 2. It's like Flea is in this show. And it just threw me completely.
Right. And his character in Back to the Future 2 and 3.
Yeah, Needles
is name dropped in Solo.
Yes.
Now, it's John Kasdan wrote in his tweet that yes, Needles is based on the character from Back to the Future. But do we get a name for this character in the show?
I don't think so. Lucha Johnny mentions that Flea was in the Big Lebowski too. Yeah. He pops up in some weird things. Like, I mean, Anthony Kiedis is in Point Break. He's one of the surfers. I think he shoots himself in the foot. But like, it's just weird seeing.
I'm hoping his character's name is Needles, and I can see this character coming across.
Does he survive?
Han Solo. He screams off screen.
I thought he was dead. I thought the Grand Inquisitor killed him. Though the Grand Inquisitor
robot legs.
Okay, yeah.
Needles could have robot legs.
Needles could absolutely have
I'm
needle
leaving
legs.
this planet. I'm going to Corellia.
Maybe his name isn't Needles, but people call him Needles because of his robot legs.
Yes.
Later on. Maybe his name is Flea, because Flea works, I think, in this. And then later on, people just refer to him as Needle Legs or as Needles. I mean, that would be his action figure if Kenner was still doing it. He would be Needle Legs.
Needle legs.
Loved it though. Like, what a random cool cameo.
Grand Inquisitor gonna get the Fennec Shand robot stomach.
Could do.
I mean, because he's in Rebels, right? And Rebels is definitely after this.
Yeah. I think a Back to Tank might be able to help him out here. And I think that she's going to be blaming it on Obi-Wan for sure.
Right.
I think
they're going to have his memory wiped.
No, that's why I don't think that she survives this. I think she got to go.
Oh yeah.
And I think she, like, if your theory and prediction about her wanting to confront Vader, it wouldn't surprise me if she gets to that point and she goes for a strike and he just offhand blocks her and just cuts her in two, like it's no thing, kind of thing. Like, because it shouldn't be a challenge for him.
And then she'll get robot legs.
And then she'll get
robot legs for everybody.
Yeah. And then we'll get robot legs.
Speaking of robot legs, I was kind of hoping at some point Obi-Wan would get his hand cut off and would get a robot hand, because that was one of the in the Star Wars script, the script for the Star Wars written by George Lucas. Obi-Wan Kenobi was like, he's like punching something or doing something, and under his fist was breaking apart was a robot hand. And I was like, does he have a robot hand? He could. We just don't. I mean, Luke has skin on his robot hand, and we just don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this would be great if they went back and gave him a robot hand.
I'm glad.
Give him the robot hand.
No, because he can't be more machine. Like obviously he's more machine now than man. But I think I like the idea of him being pure. I
Maybe
think
he
there's
could
the
feel.
contrast.
I don't know. He could feel what Vader's going through
Mm,
with his reminder of his robot hand.
maybe.
I don't know. We did get to see a hand get chopped off, though.
We did see a hand get chopped off. Like Reva is taking no prisoners. She's brutal. And I like the fact that
Classic Star Wars.
yeah, she's a force of vengeance where the others are inquisitors. They are trying to hunt down Jedi. They don't care who, they're just Jedi. Like, whereas she is so solely focused on Kenobi that, yeah, it's very interesting.
The scene in the bar with the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, the opening.
Rupert Friend, is that his name?
Friend or fiend or find one of those. Yeah, Rupert.
Really liked him. I thought he was great.
I think
had no problem with this head shape.
No, it's animation and live action are different. Species can look slightly different. Yes, we saw them in Revenge of the Sith. Shapes and sizes of everyone. Everyone is welcome.
Saw a lot of new aliens. Hose nose.
Yep, yeah. We saw a couple of familiar ones, I think, from both trilogies, but like mostly, yeah, a lot of new aliens and stuff.
When Princess Leia was running in the streets and went under that big thing.
Yep, yeah.
Another audible gasp from me. A giant thing. I was so excited.
Again, like looked familiar enough. Like it reminded me of one of the guys from Rogue One, from the squad at the end of Rogue One, like the other fighters and stuff. The big sort of bear-looking dude, but not exactly the same, but still Star Warsy.
What do you think about Dinosaur Head?
Oh, Dinosaur Head, or like the crocodile head, like Dinosaur Head.
Yeah.
Bounty Hunter. Cool.
Great.
Fine. Like it looked like it could have been a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bad guy, but I'm fine with it. It looked great.
Yeah. I would love that Kenner toy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Forlom or a Forlom.
A Forlom type droid, I think. I don't think that was Forlom. I think Deb Chow came out and said in an interview that's not Forlom. And I think that's because people would have been up in arms about Forlom being killed.
And then coming back in
it's a droid.
Empire.
Yeah. But also if that is Forlom, we could just say that Zuckuss was around the corner and just helped him up and they put him back together a little bit, and that's why those have such a good connection.
Yeah.
I'm big fan. Forlom and Zuckuss, bring them in. But either way, it was cool seeing that type of droid, that model.
Yeah.
R2 and 3PO not needing to do much, but they're both there. R2's like kind of hidden in the background, but 3PO gets more of a visual.
Happy to see him.
I was happy to see him. And if you're gonna show Alderaan, you're gonna show the Royal Palace and everything. Like, show them. Definitely show them.
Yeah.
That's where that cameo makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loved it.
I don't have much more to say.
I'm looking through.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it, dude.
I've got two quotes.
Yeah.
One of them was when Obi-Wan wakes up from his nightmare. It just reminded me of his line from Attack of the Clones: "The dreams pass in time."
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oof. If he's been telling himself that for the last 10 years while having these nightmares, that's rough, buddy. Like that's because it doesn't seem like he's been having a great time mentally. Which is sad.
Jake Lloyd.
Yeah.
Some Jake Lloyd in there too.
We get everyone. Like it's great. It's great to see. And then the other line, which was the most like quotey callback sort of line, was "I didn't come here to free slaves." But then it follows it up with "I came here to eat your food." And it's just like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
I just thought of something.
Hit me.
Can we get a Force ghost, Natalie Portman, appear to Princess Leia just for a brief moment?
And that's why she. No.
You sure?
I mean, I mean, anything could happen. I'm gonna say no.
Okay, how about this? I feel like she knows she's adopted.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to be in the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be some sort of holotape of
Padme.
Yeah,
Senator Amidala.
Yeah, being a strong senator.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what he says. He'll say, "This is your real mother. This is your mother. You are adopted. This is your mother." And so when Luke asks, "Do you remember your mom?"
She doesn't really remember her, but she's seen some images. She can say that she was strong, she was beautiful, sort of thing. Like, but she doesn't have much in the way of memory of her. I like that. Right. I like that more than a
Force ghost.
Yeah, I don't want Force ghost Padme. If
Anakin
Yoda
filled her with the Force,
if Yoda didn't know how to do it until Qui-Gon was helping him get there, I don't want Padme to just turn around and be like, "Yeah, cool, I can do this too, whatever."
Hey, I'm just saying, Padme has had 3 Force users in her. She had 2 babies.
Oh right. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
And then
I was gonna say, was there episodes of the Clone Wars that I don't know about? Like,
but I feel like she should be in tune with the Force after carrying those kids.
Definitely. I mean, there's probably something.
But no, I kind of, with them setting up her being adopted and stuff, I would like to see just maybe a final scene with Princess Leia and Bail saying this is your mother, and just having a hollow video of
I like that. Or even her coming to it on her own, like she is starting her studies or something, like for senatorial work, and she is studying Senator Amidala. And that's maybe that's like Bale sees that and says, like, "Do you know who that is?"
With them setting up the adoption, it would feel less clunky.
I agree.
Than if they just flat out, like, I feel like this is a nice lead into.
I like what they did with Bale as well, and I think it's something that we might see more of in Andor. If we see Bale in that, which I'd be surprised if we don't. We know that we're getting Mon Mothma in that. If we get, because like, not everyone on Alderaan is for the rebellion. That, like, there's that one guy who's talking to him. He's like enjoying the Imperial kickbacks and the briberies and the corruption that has come with the Empire. Like, he sort of still knows that Bale is the idealist senator. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
Really good use of the characters.
Brilliant.
If you're just watching live action Star Wars, if you don't watch the animated series, this is going to be, well, right now it feels like the perfect bridge between Episode 3 and Rogue One. Like, it's giving you all the details of the state of the galaxy, especially with the clone trooper scene. And it shows you the state of mind of Obi-Wan and how we get from Episode 3 Obi-Wan to Episode 4 Obi-Wan. And I wasn't thrilled that Inquisitors were going to be in this because it's a cartoon thing, but it's
the usage is good.
It's perfect to pluck those people for the story.
Yes, when it's relevant to the story is the key. You've got this rich tapestry of what to us feels like ancillary material of books, comics, animated shows. Like, that is always going to feel.
It's Saw Gerrera. It's Saw Gerrera in Rogue One.
Yes.
Gareth Edwards wanted a person who was an extremist rebel. And instead of creating a new character, they looked at their library and like, this guy could fit. Yep. And here we go. Plug that character in because they fit the story you want.
They're not writing to put in Saw Gerrera. They've got a character where they can fit it. And you can change certain little details to make it fit even tighter, but it's not essential changing of anything, and that is exactly what happens here. The inclusion of Leia, like I hoped that we'd see a small bit of that, but that being what drew Obi-Wan off of Tatooine is a stroke of genius. It's fantastic, and it gives me full confidence that the Obi-Wan Vader confrontation is going to be handled brilliantly as well, because I think we both were in agreement that when that was first announced, I was like, I don't want that. Originally I didn't want Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine at all. Then I came around on that, and now like seeing the way that everything's been handled,
it all makes sense.
Exactly. It's like they have earned my trust.
Yeah, and him leaving, it tells you so much more about the character.
Yeah,
it shows you how done he is with the Jedi. And there was a line in there.
He sacrifices one, for Christ's sake. Like I think he wants the best for that kid, but I think he knows that he's doomed if he keeps using the Force in the way that he is and trying to help people. I think he knows that that's going to lead to his demise. And it's like literally a couple of days later that he sees him strung up, and it's like,
does he say the exact same line as Luke from The Last Jedi? The time of the Jedi has ended. Did he say
is over? Yeah, whatever the line is.
Something very similar.
It's very, very close. And the fact that they are both in that same position of cutting themselves off, living in a cave, like
my favorite stuff
like
in
poetry.
The Last Jedi. Yeah, my favorite stuff in The Last Jedi is the Luke stuff, and for them to reference that, I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. That's great.
Yep.
I don't have much more to say. I have.
I've got through everything.
I'm ready to wrap this up. I was
gonna say you're gonna be out the door very shortly.
I'm gonna be out the door in about 45 minutes.
Awesome.
And I gotta put on my socks and my pants. I am wearing pants. I'm just wearing like I'm just wearing like jersey shorts, like basketball shorts.
Yeah.
Because it's warm already. And I don't want to sit here sweat. I have to close my window.
It's beautiful. I'm going to be wearing the south coast of the UK. This is like one of the nicest days we've had this year, and I'm sat inside with the lights on.
So I would say follow at Live Action SW on Twitter and Instagram. I'm not going to try to overflow your feeds with celebration.
Okay.
I might do Instagram stories.
Yeah,
and I might do a Twitter
some live
thread.
Videos. Do some live video if you can, if you want to. If there's something cool that you're seeing, fire up that live thing.
You know that YouTube has like Instagram stories, but for like live video, it's called like Instagram or YouTube Shorts. I might dabble in that. So,
I mean, you can do it on Twitter, you can do it on Instagram, you can do it on YouTube, you can do it wherever you do it. And so people just follow us on there.
It's my it's my first celebration, so I feel like I just want to be like in the moment. I don't want to be hanging out seeking content. But if I do run into somebody, like past guests, like Patrick's there, Silver's there,
almost old, like
Pete and Alex. I don't know if Alex is, but I know Pete's going to be there.
Oh, awesome.
So I mean, I'm going to run into some of these folks, and then maybe I can run into some future guests.
Absolutely, and like. Just cool Star Wars people. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I was watching the live feeds from Celebration most of last night, and I just wish I was there.
We went down there yesterday to get our COVID wristbands, which I was able to slip off because I don't really.
Yeah.
But it's this one right here.
Sweet.
And I'm wearing this shirt. I've got like a white sort of Aloha shirt that matches my Scarif hat, so Scarif hat's going to be going with me.
Amazing.
When I'm out in the sun, and if anybody sees me there, 100% come say hi to me.
Yes.
I'm a little bit different in person than I am on the show. I feel like I'm a little quieter, and I'm not as lively, and not that I'm lively on the show, but I'm a little more shy. I don't know. Just if you see me, feel free to say hi. Even if it looks like I'm concentrating on something, or I look like I'm frustrated, or I don't know, whatever it is. My resting face, I think, is different than my podcasting face. But I want to thank you all for joining us in the chat today.
Yeah.
It's a pretty tough ask to do it this early in the morning after having to watch 2 whole episodes of a show. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll be at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, not
for
tomorrow.
Episode 3.
We're not going to be here tomorrow.
No. So Wednesday, 9 o'clock in the morning. It'll give you a little bit more time to watch it. I'm kind of hoping that Disney releases it at 9 or midnight Eastern time. I don't know if they will or not.
I think they did that to try and curb any piracy from Celebration.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. We are not going to be alone on Wednesday either.
No.
Eddie Pence is going to be joining us again.
Coming back.
We had such a blast doing Book of Boba Fett episode 1 with him.
Yeah.
He's coming back. And so we're starting at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
9 a.m. West Coast. That is 5 p.m. UK. You can work out the rest. Somewhere in between, probably, for the most of you. Yeah. So it would be nice like afternoon one for people in the UK.
All right. Well,
go and enjoy Celebration.
Thank you.
Take pictures, do some video if you can. Don't ruin your experience. Go and enjoy it. Take it all in. Have a great time.
Thanks, man. I'm excited. It's been 3 years coming.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Cool. Right. Until Wednesday. Don't give it to hate.
Celebrate the love.
Punch it.